Hello, my name is Brianna Sinclair, and this is my 20th week on HRT video. On my channel, I post mostly transgender content. If you like my content, please like, comment, subscribe to help my channel out. Feel free to ask questions and test my knowledge if you so wish to. But with that being said, let's get into the video. So like I was saying, it is my 20th week. Quick measurements update. My hips are 34 1/4, my bust is 35 inches around, and my waist is 25 1/2. So because my bust is measuring a little bit bigger, that could be contributed to the breast growth I was experiencing, but I would have to wait until the next week to confirm, because I try to avoid any measurement errors or anything that could sway the way I took the measurement. So I would have to wait until next week to fully solidify that it actually grew and that wasn't just a measuring error on my part, because I do take my measurements 2 or 3 times, but it could have been like maybe I was tired or something like that, or maybe I was just bloated that day. Can you not? Don't be messing with the camera. Don't be messing with the camera, you buddy. Don't be messing with the camera. And let's get into it. So my emotional status hasn't really changed a whole lot. I feel everything essentially the way I feel like I felt a little bit before HRT. I feel like I'm in the same amount of control. I just feel like I'm able to feel things a little bit differently, which is good, because sometimes it'd be frustrating that like I didn't have the same reaction as like other people. I'd be like, wow, I don't understand, because clearly all are feeling something different that I'm not feeling. Hair reduction growth. For my hair reduction and growth, I haven't really experienced a whole lot, because my hair I'm still not able to grow as of yet, fully. And as far as like hair growth, I have noticed like a little bit of like hair reduction on like my arms and legs. Like it takes longer for them to grow out, but it's not to the magnitude that I'd be happy with. So I do plan on like having full body laser at some point, because that was part of one of the things I hated most about like just even starting puberty, to be honest with you. I just hated the fact that I was growing hair. My breast growth, other than the measurements, they still do hurt. They are definitely noticeable, and because of that, like, because they're more noticeable, and I'm dressing androgynously because I can't fully live femininely yet, I do kind of like have to hide it a little bit more. Clearly I'm not doing a good job, because one of my coworkers today actually said that they can tell that my medicine's working because, well, my HRT, because my silhouette, like my side profile, is a little bit different. Not a lot, but a little bit, and I only expected a little bit, to be honest with you, because my family's pretty flat chested, so the fact that I got anything was an amazement to me. Fat redistribution, I haven't noticed anything. Anything major, really. I feel like I'm getting a little bit in like my thighs and my buttocks area, but I still have a long way to go. I have nothing to really work with. I've been trying to eat more so that way my body has something to work with as far as like fat redistribution and stuff like that, but it's hard for me to eat more because I just don't get hungry. I don't. But also, like, I do try and like maintain my figure as much as I can because I like my figure for the most part. I like being skinny. I like having a waist. But at the same time, I want like hips and like a rounded out like butt because and breasts and but all those kind of take like fat tissue to some point. And that's just something I just can't seem to fully get as of yet. Um, my sex drive. My sex drive is low. I honestly don't really need sex. I don't need it. At this point, I feel like out of habit, I just want it. And, but I have no desire to, like, go out and have sex with people and, like, or anything like that. And yes, I'm married. My the attraction I have for her is physical and emotional, yes, but I can definitely tell that I'm mostly turned on by like the emotional and like mental aspect of like my partner. And my wife does that for me. I don't feel it for like, I can say like somebody's attractive. Like, yes, he or she looks good. Does that do anything for me like it used to? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. um, like I used to be able to look at like an attractive girl and be like, wow, she looks really good. And then like, and I would never really have like a reaction from that except like if I was in an intimate setting. But now it's like, especially like with my wife, I can see her and be like, she's very attractive and I'm glad I'm with her. But whenever we go to bed together, I don't feel the need to like have sex with her. I would just more or less just like want to be with her and crave that like physical touch and stuff like that, because what that does for me mentally and emotionally is a lot more. And I know that sounds a little weird, it's hard to describe even now, but I'm not sure how to phrase it any better. It's just the way I'm attracted to people is different. I'm still attracted to the same type of people, my wife, but the way I'm attracted to her is different. And I know that there's a large portion of her that is still scared that I'm going to run off with some boy, because that is a very common theme with transgender women, is that we transition and then we go and try and be with a boy, because being with a man reinforces our femininity. Being next to somebody who's considerably more masculine than us reinforces that, and that's something that I don't need, because I don't even like to go out anyway. So who am I being feminine for other than myself? Like, I don't like to go out and party. I rarely like to go out and hang out with my friends, and my friends know what I'm going through. So there's nothing there for me to even present any more differently than myself. Well, there's, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, it's been a long day for me, so I apologize if my words are getting mixed up. I don't have any different way to present other than myself, is kind of what I'm trying to say. Being tired, yes. I still get tired really easily, and noticeably so. But yes, most days I have to take a nap. I had never taken a nap in my life except like after kindergarten. I could go even days, but now like every day I have to take a nap because of my low testosterone level that my body is used to. And I have started to drink like energy drinks and stuff like that, so that way I can have enough energy to get through my days. I'm kind of waiting for it to kind of like teeter off a little bit, so that way I can wean myself back off my energy drinks, because I don't like to drink them. I drink them because, one, they're tasty, and two, they give me energy. But if I didn't have to drink them, I wouldn't. I drink a ton of coffee. A ton. My muscle development, I feel like I'm losing a lot of my muscle. I can kind of feel and tell that I'm not able to do things that I used to, because previously I could previously I could do things. I was stronger and I could hit things harder in sports. Every Friday, whenever I do physical training with my coworkers, I can tell that I'm not as good of a player as I used to be. I used to be this short dude that would would be really squirrely and could hit the ball very well, and I would always go for it. I would always try and do the big play. I struggled to get the ball where I need it to be. And that's something that I do hate, because I don't want them to look at me any differently. I just want to be still I still want to go to work and people know that I can get my job done. I just don't want them to think I'm incredibly fragile. And I get that's kind of part of being feminine, but I would much rather be known as the girl that could do it. That could do whatever she was tasked with. Because I believe I can. My exception to policy isn't approved yet fully. It did reach my building, or at least my the area I work in. It has to go out of the state to be approved by the overarching entity, and then it has to be put into our electronic program that tracks our rules and regulations and stuff like that. And once it's in there, it'll be known that should be known that I am able to abide by the female standards, and I can grow out my hair and my nails and start wearing female clothes at work. As of right now, I can only do that at my makeup job, which is really good. I actually thought about wearing my hair because I dress very femininely today, and I was able to do my makeup and go in. And I do get stirred a lot because I have short hair, my voice is very masculine, and feel like my voice therapy is helping a little bit. I don't know, I can tell that I can't reach like the low pitches I used to, but I also can't reach the high pitches I want to. And it's not just about pitch, it's also about like the way you say things and I guess the dexterity that they're said with and like the resonance of your voice. And I have been trying to like practice that and stuff like that. It's just slow and doesn't go at the pace I want it to, but I am very happy with the progress I'm making so far. And my exception to policy, this is 5 months. And it's finally getting the traction I need it to have. I did expect it to take a while because what I'm going through is very unique and niche as far as like medical stuff goes. So I did expect it to take a while. Not this long, but I did expect it to take a while. And I'm happy that I'm finally able to get that point. I'm hoping that by next week it'll be approved and I can finally start growing out my hair. They called me in to sign the last bit of my exception to policy for where I'm at, and it took a lot out of me not to like just bawl in front of this grown man in front of me, and just, I didn't know how it would be, because he knew exactly what I was going through. He remarked upon it, this is your transition plan, this is like the things that you requested, these are the things that are like going into it, and this is the evidence that we have to present for it, so that the way they can sign off on it. And seeing everything come together made me so happy. I was happy to call my wife and tell her, like, hey, they called me back into work. They said they needed to, they said they needed me to sign some things for my paperwork for my transition plan. And, originally they wanted me to wait till Tuesday, because it's a 3-day weekend this week for me. And, so they wanted me to wait till Tuesday. And my boss said, no, if I call him in now, he's gonna come in, because this means so much to him. And he said it exactly like that, and the fact that I was misgendered had no bearing on anything, because I have to present male there. And yes, I present as femininely as I can, but I can't present as femininely as I need to. And this is the start of that. I am going to have to route several more exceptions to policies, because after my medical portion is done, that would give me, I feel like that would give me the grounds that I would need to abide by female physical standards, use female areas, and because I get urinalyzed randomly, if I went through SRS, I would have to have a female observer. I don't plan to ever have that bit signed off, because I don't want SRS as of yet, and if I ever got SRS, I feel like that would be the last of my marriage. My marriage means a lot to me, because it was the first time I was loved the way I wanted to be. And with me being transgender, I feel like it's going to be even harder for me to find that same love with anybody else, first off, and second off, if I already have it, why would I go look for it somewhere else? I get, as a transgender woman, I could have a great number of men or women that just want to sleep with a transgender woman. But I don't want to be sexualized or fetishized. I want a partner that wants me for me, and not for like a night or a weekend or a phase. But I want to be like somebody's partner. And my wife sees me as that, and I feel like because my wife is transgender and I'm transgender, me going through everything kind of lets her know that like I'm here to stay. I don't want to leave. I don't want to lose her. I just want to be loved the same way that like I love her. And that's kind of how I am. I feel like you should treat people how you want to be treated, and treat them how they treat you. So I love her the way I want to be loved in myself. And I kind of just feed off the energy, like if she loves me back, she'll also love me back. And that's kind of how I love. And I'm not giving up. I can't. I've slept with men, but I don't think I could be with a man due to the emotionally damaging interactions I've had with male partners. And that's a whole story all on its own. That was not his fault. It was nobody's fault. It was a product of the situation I was in, and I was exploring my sexuality at the time, and it was a terrible time. I honestly can't even look at men the same because of that situation, because of how emotionally and mentally damaging it was for me. Could I be with a man? Sure. Do I want to? No. I don't even want to be with a woman. I want to be with my wife, who's not just any woman, she's my wife. And that's kind of how I view it. And we're doing everything we can to make it work. Like, I know she's trying to get me used to... I know she wants to try and potentially get a third person because she's attracted to men. I just don't know how that's going to work because I want a monogamous relationship, I feel like. And I let her know I may never be okay with us having a third person. There's a high possibility that I won't be ever okay with it. Because I don't need a third person. And so it's hard for me to understand like why needing that third person is so important. But because I do get that it might be a need for her. I can respect that. But for me, it just feels like a temporary replacement, or and it honestly just brings back a lot of things that I'm just not comfortable with. And different people are able to make it work. I'm just not one of those people. And so I would rather her be happy with somebody else than her be unhappy with me. Because I love her that much. I'm willing to take the high road for it. And that's not me giving up, that's me saying, if I can't make you happy, I would not want to waste your time. And I've said those words to her. Many times. And it just hurts me every time, like, she brings it up. It almost physically hurts, I feel like, in some ways, because it chokes me up to the point where, like, my chest starts hurting. Because I don't know what to do. It brings me back to a rough point in my life where I can't stand to even think about it, to be honest with you, because it just breaks me down. And, I just have to go silent. I can't talk about it because it's so painful for me. And I know she knows that, like, it hurts. Because even whenever she jokes about it, it's not funny to me. In those situations, I go silent because if I say something, I know I'm just gonna start an argument that's unnecessary. So I would rather go silent and just not say anything. Because even though she's laughing at her joke, I'm still stuck in this area where I'm alone and just abandoned. And that's where that takes me. Making a relationship work isn't easy whenever you transition in the relationship. It's considerably easier to transition and then start a relationship. Because that person I get fell in love with you as you. So you physically changing does affect the relationship. And it took me a long time to be okay with it. But I am okay with her being happy with somebody else because in the long run, it's her happiness that matters to me. And I know that it would just reinforce that I need to be able to find that happiness in myself. And that's what my transition's doing for me. It's allowing me to be more emotionally independent. It helps me a lot, to be honest with you. A lot more than it appears, because there's like the basis, like we transition because we want to present as female because we have a problem with like the way we present socially and physically. But in this case, it's also branching out and helping me in other ways too. And that's one of the things I do love about it. I think the key to making a relationship work is to never give up. Never throw in the towel, and try to make the best of every situation. Be understanding. Try to at least, but hear them out. Arguments are gonna happen. Miscommunications are gonna happen, but as long as y'all are talking and trying, truly trying, and not just immediately throwing in the towel and sitting on that misconception, I feel like it can work. And getting away from the idea that you're turning into somebody completely different also does something else, because you're not. You're just not turning into somebody different. You're still going to be you. The person underneath everything is you. Still. The person you are presenting physically is different, but it is still you underneath all of the flesh and bone. You can change your name, you can change your gender markers, but if you were Tyler before, you're still, your name may be different, but deep down who Tyler was is still them. You're still going to have the same interests and stuff like that. You're just going to be able to feel them and maybe like express them more openly. Like, now it's okay for me to like have an interest in makeup, have an interest in cosmetics, skincare, femininity. Whereas before, I would get a very skeptical sideways glance. But now it's okay. It's okay for me to do these things and stuff like that because of the way I present. And that's why, like, that has helped me. And I feel like if you're coming out to your partner, you should expect the relationship not to work, but still try. Do everything you can, because you still love that person. I don't imagine you would be together if you didn't. But you have to show them that you can still be loved in the relationship, even if you present femininely. It is hard to break that boundary, because whenever they look at it's easy to see, like, that's not my partner anymore. That's this woman, this other woman. I'm sharing my house, I'm sharing my bed with this other woman that I didn't sign up for. And in my case, that since I'm married to my wife, that would make her a lesbian. And I know that wasn't totally okay with her. But me presenting femininely now doesn't bother her as much. She's still getting used to it, but she doesn't have a problem with me presenting it as a woman because she's used to it. We don't live together, and she thinks she would have more of a problem with it because it would be all the time that I would be presenting femininely. But, so it would be all in their face, but in the end, I'm still me. Brianna, before she transitioned, is still Brianna. And at the end of the day, a name is just a name. So changing your name doesn't really mean anything. If my name was Tyler before and I decided to change it to Zane or Taylor, I would still be the same person. In this case, I am changing my hormones. I am going through several medical procedures to make myself more feminine and present this way. But at the end of the day, like, I still have the same hobbies and interests. What makes me me is still there. Some characteristics may change. I may be more social, I may be more open, but in no way, shape, or form does it change the way I feel about the things I felt earlier. I still have the same feelings for my wife. They just manifest themselves in different ways. In me from her. I still show her that I love her the same way. Every day. And even whenever we have our fights, I still tell her I love her. But I can't. I do need that reinforcement from her that she loves me too. And that's something I'm learning, is the expectation and trying to figure out whenever I'm putting in too much effort and I'm not able to observe enough effort. Because it was previously brought up that, like, I would put in too much effort in my relationship, and it made no sense to me. I felt as long as it was working, and I was happy, But the point of the effort is to make sure that nobody's feelings are drifting astray. And if they are, there needs to be a rebasing. Like, getting back to center. Every time, like, they deviate too much, and I haven't quite figured out how to do that, but sometimes I wish I could just hit, like, a reset button, like, okay, and this is where we're at, ground zero again, and then we can continue on where we're not, like, as distant and stuff like that. But I feel like once we, at some points in times, like, things are better than other times. But yeah, if you're going through this and you're afraid to transition, I get it. I get being scared out of your mind to transition. As a minor, you have different things to worry about. If you tell your parents that you come out, you could be disowned, you could be be kicked out. In those cases, I implore you to hold off as long as you can, because I don't want your safety put at risk. And I hate that happens. That shouldn't happen. There's no reason for that to happen. Because it's the same thing that used to happen with, like, homosexual people whenever they would come out. Many homosexuals were kicked out of their house and were killed without people knowing it, because in society, since nobody missed them or loved them, they were considered the less than dead until it was socially, like, acceptable. And now people are okay with it. And that's what I hate about being transgender. Is that, well, not being transgender, that's what I hate about, like, I guess being transgender is, like, you can't always come out whenever you need to. Sometimes you have to wait for it to be okay with other people and kind of gauge it. Or just wait till you're safe and secure, because I do worry about the safety for people that do come out. Because if they're disowned or if they're kicked out of their, like, family's house, they can be on their own. And it's scary. It's a scary world for normal people. So imagine being transgender. It's even scarier. To this day, it's still a legal case to kill a transgender person if, like, I think the legal term for it is transpanic. And if there's no evidence that you told that person that you were transgender, and they managed to get you in a private setting, you being under the guise that it's okay, and they could wholly take your life, and that would be the defense, and they could get off on that. That's not okay, to me at least, because I still see it as murder. If they didn't tell you, sure, that's wrong, but that's not no reason for them to, like, for you to, like, commit murder. There's no reason for that, because if in that setting they didn't come out to you and you figured out, like, you're not into it the way that you thought that they were, or that if they're not okay with it, I feel like they should just get up and leave. If they weren't told, but I still feel like you should tell them. Like, I feel like before it even gets to that point, they should know exactly what they're getting into. SRS, the waters get a little muddy that time, but you can start off with, like, hey, how do you feel about having kids? I can't have kids. In my case, if I got SRS, I wouldn't be able to have kids. I'd be a barren woman. And then kind of open it up that way, like, hey, the reason I can't have kids is because I transitioned. I'm a transgender woman, and the reason I can't have kids is because I had SRS. I guess not have kids would be the right term. I can't get impregnated. Yet. Because I did end up freezing my sperm, because I did want to have kids someday. I do hope to be someone's mom someday, as is my wife. We both hope to be parents one day, and we recognize that we would have to find a surrogate for that. And in finding a surrogate, I was not okay with sleeping with another person. So I knew we'd have to actually find like a legitimate stranger to kind of be our surrogate. I'm saying this all wrong because I'm tired, but not stranger, but we would have to go through somebody who, like, they would have to go through IVF. That's what I'm trying to say. They'd have to go through IVF because I'm not going to impregnate a woman sexually. That's not fair to my wife. And I was firmly into that whenever she brought it up. She said, "Hey, how do you feel about having kids?" I said, "I would love to have kids someday." And this is after I knew that she was transgender and stuff like that. And because I didn't know where the conversation was going, but I knew where my stance was, I told her I am not okay with sleeping with somebody else to have a kid. And without her even asking. And I feel like she was surprised at my answer. Because for a man, sleeping with multiple women is kind of like a tribute to like your masculinity. Whereas like if a woman sleeps with multiple men, you're kind of viewed as like a whore. I was not okay with sleeping around because I'm with a woman. I have the woman I want, and breaking my commitment to her sexually was not worth having a kid to me, especially whenever there was another option. And so I defaulted to that. And that's my view on it. I think that's it for tonight, y'all. If you like my channel, please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to answer your questions, and I would love to be able to help any way I can. And yes, this is my 20th week of HRT. This is Brianna Sinclair, signing off.